As the war on Gaza continues, the reality of the situation on the ground is that a ceasefire would be beneficial for both sides. And that's definitely true when you consider the deadliest day for IDF soldiers, which occurred just yesterday. 24 IDF soldiers were killed, including 21 reservists, making it the deadliest day since launching their military operations in Gaza. And here are some more details about what occurred and why it was the deadliest day.
The Israeli military said that a unit of Israeli reserves was trying to demolish a pair of two-story buildings in Gaza when Palestinian militants nearby fired an RPG that hit a tank. That blast apparently triggered a chain reaction that detonated the mines the soldiers were going to use in the buildings, causing a massive explosion and bringing those buildings down on them.
So they're installing bombs in this building, two-story building. Hamas launches, RPG at that point, and by the way, not targeting them specifically, but in the vicinity, and that triggers the explosives in the building. The building comes crashing down. People within the building, meaning the IDF soldiers, die as a result of that. The latest casualties bring the number of Israeli soldiers killed since the ground operation began to 221. So there are costs for Israel, and as we know, you can. And I'm specifically talking about the Israeli government here. I mean, you could talk about 25,000 Palestinians dead. They don't even blink an eye, right? But they care deeply about every single Israeli life. And so for them, 221 Israeli soldiers dying is a very big deal. And for the family members of these reservists, I'm sure it's a huge deal for them. And they're really starting to reconsider, what they're willing to give up to continue supporting this war, which has really done nothing in terms of destroying the leadership of Hamas. The leadership remains intact. In fact, most of the leaders for Hamas are in other countries, including Qatar and Lebanon. And so as the US government has claimed, they're a little bit concerned over the fact that most of the Hamas militants who have been killed are low-level militants who are easily replaced. And given the number of Palestinians who have lost many, many members of their families, this war is very likely radicalizing some people, which can help Hamas with their recruiting efforts. So it's awful for everyone involved. There's really no end in sight, and that's the other thing. Benjamin Netanyahu is not clear about what he intends to do. What will the end of this war be? How will we get to the end? Simply saying we're going to destroy Hamas while you're killing civilians and low-level Hamas militants in the Gaza Strip is not good reason for all the bloodshed that we're seeing both in Gaza and among IDF soldiers.
Yeah, well, look, I'm split on the 24 IDF soldiers killed. First of all, they're not civilians, they're soldiers. So a lot of times people say, hey, it's war, when they are trying to justify burning women and children alive. So that's not, hey, it's just war, that's a war crime, right? And it's a war crime when a so-called terrorist does it, and it's also a war crime when a so-called state does it. Okay, to me, killing civilians is terrorism either way, okay? But when it comes to soldiers, that actually is war. And so these guys they're like, hey, we're going to blow you up. Oh, what a tragedy. Instead of blowing you up, we got blown up.
I know, but look, you're absolutely right in making that distinction, but it is worth highlighting this because there is a cost for the Israeli side. For the families who continue to support the bloodshed that's taking place in the Gaza Strip, these are, the IDF soldiers don't, in most cases, have a choice. Right?
No, they don't have a choice.
They don't have a choice. So
it's a trap. No, that's what I was going to get to. On the other hand, they're human beings, right? Yes, they're soldiers, but they're human beings, and a lot of them are young. And yeah, I'm sure some of them are into it. We showed you the video where they're dancing, talking about how they're going to murder everybody in Gaza, and how celebrating the idea that they were going to exterminate Amalek, the ridiculous religious idea that the Palestinians should be destroyed because of who they are, right? But a bunch of IDF soldiers are just kids who got drafted, and they're in the middle of this war. Next thing you know, they blow up. So you should be concerned about everyone who dies. Okay, that goes to the point that Anna's making. All we're going to get is more death here. There's not going to be any peace that comes out of war, any further bombings. Whether it's the Israel planting a bomb or Israel getting bombed. There's no The war is never, ever, ever going to lead to peace and security. It's so obvious. The only people who can't see it are the ones who are blinded by rage and vengeance on both sides, right? You go talk to Hamas, they don't, like, really? Are you trying to get a two-state solution? It doesn't look like it, right? It looks like you're just trying to get vengeance on the Israelis. And now the Israelis have gotten 20 times the vengeance on Palestinian civilians. So if you care about peace, this is 100% not the way to get there. And it's actually inarguable, you know that. And by the way, now even Israel admits their entire effort, if it was meant to destroy Hamas, was a complete and utter failure. They have this nonsense number that they put out there that 70% of Hamas is still intact. So that means at best case scenario, even with IDF propaganda built in, they can't stomach saying that they killed more than 30% of them, because they definitely didn't. Because they're in the tunnels. The bombs didn't affect the tunnels. And they got zero leadership. Not one guy in leadership. So that means if you thought it was a military objective, it fails spectacularly and has almost no chance of working. And if you think that it has a chance of working and you want to send those IDF kids into the tunnels, a lot more of them are gonna die.
Yep.
And so, and by the way, I mean, again, you cry for them as human beings, and you cry for their family, etc. But as a country, you don't get to say, oh, I can't believe the Palestinians fought back against our soldiers who were there to kill them. That's not a thing, that's actually war, right? So there's only one way out, which is end the damn war. You got your vengeance. We've got to go back to reality. But no, Netanyahu's never gonna give them a Gaza back. So I don't know how this ends, guys. There's the only thing I could possibly think of that's realistic is that Israel calls elections and gets rid of Netanyahu. Because he is saying as long as he is in charge, he is never going to leave Gaza. And if they never leave Gaza, Hamas is never going to stop fighting, and this will last forever. Thanks for watching the video, guys. We also love it if you hit the join button below, because that makes you a member, and members allow us to be independent, honest. We can be as progressive as we want, no corporate media influence, and that's all because of you guys. We love doing the show with our members. Hit the join button, become one of the Young Turks.